Hello, I'm John Singer. Today we're going to fold an armadillo. Here you can see an armadillo I folded already. This one was folded out of a 19-inch square of marble windstone paper, and it has a very nice, 3D effect with the claws and the shell and the ears and everything. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to be using a sheet of 15-inch foil, and I'm using foil just to make the final sculpting easier to come across. I begin by folding both axes, as you can see here, and then we fold the two opposite edges toward the center in a covered fold, and then go ahead and unfold that and fold the bottom half of the model upwards. So now we have a crease here and two raw edges here. And we're going to strike a 60-degree angle through the center of the paper such that one end of the crease is at this point, and the other end, this corner, lines up with this folded edge here. And then you can go ahead and fold the other layer over it, and this makes a good check. If all the layers line up here and here, that means your fold is accurate. Okay, go ahead and unfold that now, and we're going to fold an edge, the corner in fact, over such that the crease we make intersects the place where these two creases intersect, and the other end of the fold is there at the corner, well, the edge I guess, but since it's folded it's a corner from this configuration. And we're going to go ahead and fold the other three edges that are like that. Okay, now we're going to unfold everything in fact, and fold this edge up such that the crease we make goes through those 2 points there. Like so. And turn it over and do it on the opposite side too. Okay, now we're going to do a bit more pre-creasing in the middle of the model here. We're going to fold a bisector through the middle such that this point comes to here and this point comes to there, but we're not going to fold through the middle, we're only going to fold here and here. So let's go ahead and make that fold. Actually, I suppose it's easier if you leave this folded up for the time being, because it can line up your points better. See how that lines up there? And this lines up here. Okay, good. So, but just again, you're not folding through the middle. Folding from here to the edge and there to the edge. Okay. Now, we're going to do the other diagonal the same way. So, this point comes down there, this point comes over here. Alright, and again, fold from about here out to the edge, and unfold. You see we have these creases now, here, 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 and here. Okay, very good. Now we're going to fold the other diagonal, but we're only going to fold the part near the corner. So we're going to fold from here to here, and so the landmark is actually this point comes right to the center, like so, and just fold from there to the edge. And we're going to repeat on the other edges too, so like so. So, and number 4. Okay, great. All right, now we are going to develop, here, let's unfold this flap here, and this flap here. And now we're going to develop the ridges that go across here and form the shell. So first thing we're going to do is divide from here to here into thirds. And now I normally do this by eye. There's many methods to divide paper into thirds, but mine is just simply to take this crease and fold it to what appears to be about a third of the way over by eye, and make a tiny little mark there. And take this and do the same thing. You'll notice I'm converting these to mountains temporarily. Okay, so try there. And you see now these 2 points should be equidistant. And if they're not, you can adjust. So bring this point back here again, make a slightly heavier tick, and you see it's just a squidge off from my previous tick. So now bring this one over to the base, and you should just repeat this till you get it right. And usually twice is enough. If you're really off, you do it 3 times. Okay, so then just fold it the whole way through. You see now I just created that crease there. Bring this edge back here. And fold it the whole way through. Okay, so now I have this middle region divided into 3 equal thirds. Good. Next step is we're going to divide the same region into quarters, and what that's going to give us is a, well, you know, 3 times 4 is 12, so a third times a quarter is 1/12, and we're going to divide this center region into 12ths ultimately. So take this same edge here, the original 1/4 mark, and fold it right to the center of the paper like so. And crease underneath there. And repeat with the opposite side. So this one should just line up on that same center line. Good. Okay, now unfold, and now you see that this same region is also subdivided into fourths. And this region here between the 1/4 and the 1/3 is a 12th. Okay, so now what we're going to do, actually I was wrong about dividing into 12, so we're going to divide the middle portion into 6. So from here, you see you have a narrow and a wide band, and then a wide and a narrow band. So what we're going to do is take the center edge and pleat it, and so it lines up on that narrow band. Okay. And what that gives us now is this region is divided into equal thirds. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now we have 6 even divisions right through there. Okay, now we're going to divide each of these regions in half, creating 12. So I'm going to demonstrate the first one for you and then let you continue on your own. So all you do is bring it over, raise up an edge, bring it over to the next fold and flatten, and there you go. And you take the next fold and pop it over to become a mountain, like so, and continue on down the line. Okay, so continue and subdivide that whole region into 12ths. Okay, so continuing now, we've divided the middle section into 12ths. I've actually drawn with pencil where the creases are just to make it a little easier for you to see. Because now what we're going to do, well, we're going to turn the model over. And now we're going to create the actual pleats in the animal's shell. So we find that first division of 1/12. And we're going to raise up a little pleat and now divide in half yet again and lay it on the pleat that was right next to it. Okay, good. Now that's the first division in the shell. Now we're going to skip one take the next one and do the same thing, which is to say skip one and then divide the next pleat in half. So now you can see that we're creating these ridges here, these three-dimensional ridges. Okay, so you're going to keep going till we use up this whole section of paper. In the end, we're going to have 5 bands, so that's why this model is called the 5-banded armadillo. Although I will tell you a little secret: in nature there is no 5-banded armadillo. There's a 3-banded armadillo and there's a 7-banded armadillo, but this one has 5. So I suppose if you really wanted to, you could create your own design with a slightly different geometry for creating these pleats and have a greater or lesser number of bands. In fact, I've made this model from smaller sheets before and used 3 bands, and it works just fine. And then, you know, instead of dividing that region into 12, you can divide it into 8ths. I suppose for the 7-banded, you'd want to divide it into 16ths instead of 12ths. But this one works well for this size paper, and you know, I just like the way it comes out. So 5 is what I went with. Okay, now here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the last one. And you're going to have, after you create the last one more crease here that's part of that original group of 12 that does not take a pleat. And, you know, that's just fine. Alright, so we've inlaid all our ridges now. You can count them. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And what we're going to do now is take this flap here now and tuck it underneath. And this will lock in all those pleats we've made. Right there like that, you see? Okay, and then on the other end too, take this layer, fold it underneath to lock in those pleats. Okay. Now we're going to work on the toes. So we're going to fold a layer over here like this, and over here like this, and these top 2 layers as well. Then we're going to fold them back out like so, so that the raw edge of the paper lines up on the folded crease. Okay, and then turn it around and do it on the other side too. Okay, well the next few steps, here, let's turn it around again because I want to keep it oriented. The next few steps are going to concentrate on forming the toes, and this should be pretty familiar to you by now. I'm going to start over here, make a fold. This fold is parallel to that edge with the landmark being that point there. Unfold. Make a squash like so, and then refold this layer here, on the existing creases and flatten. Okay, and then we create a landmark fold parallel to there. Unfold. Reverse fold to create a toe here, and reverse fold again, like so, and then sink this layer here. Just open it up, flatten. So if it's a little bit wrinkled, just take care as you flatten it that everything lines up neat. Okay, there we go, and we're going to repeat that on the other 3 corners to create 3 more sets of happy little toes. Alright, so continuing, we now have all 4 corners folded into happy little toes like so. We're going to turn the model over, and we're going to fold the 2 opposite edges to the middle here, being careful not to wrinkle or rip the thing as you go. Gentleness going through there. Okay, good. And the other one too. Right. Okay, now we're going to do more or less squash folds here to and then fold the flap back to the right like so. Okay, same thing here. Narrow the tip, and then fold it back to the right. Adjust if you need to so it lines up. Good, okay. And on the other side too. And one more. Okay. Now what we're going to do is open up these flaps we just made. Like so. And flatten out. And repeating on the other side. Okay, very good. Now we're going to basically slide this flap over, and behind here this becomes a mountain, and in here there's a little valley, and then we flatten it out this way. When you're done, this crease and this crease should be parallel. Okay, and we're going to do that the whole way around for all 4 legs. And I suppose this layer here, that is parallel to that, is your other reference. Okay. Very good. Now we're going to fold the model in half, and now is a good time to check to see the end that's going to be the head should also have the first pleat. And remember how there was one crease that didn't get pleated? That should be towards the tail end. And that's how you can tell the 2 ends apart at this point. Okay, so for the end that's the head, we're going to do, well, basically a crimp. It's a pair of reverse folds. And the first one goes down, like so. And this is just about the most natural place it can be. One end here is right at the beginning of the pleats, and the other end here is at the end of a crease that we made before. And then folding straight across to bring it up like so. Okay, for the tail end now we're also going to make a crimp, but it's a different kind of a crimp. However, the first part is the same. We're folding down. And the top of the crimp is at the point that's the last crease here from that original set of folds we made to divide into 12ths. And the other end is also the same landmark here where previous crease already comes to that edge. So just go ahead and create that and flatten it like so. Okay, but then the second crease, you're actually going to bring the whole tail back out like a mountain and crimp from that point exactly so that it lines up like this, and you see the tail come parallel to the body like so. Okay, very good. Alright, now down here we're going to narrow this layer underneath by start by narrowing the leg like so. See that? Same with back here. Okay, now you got, again, I'm just lifting this up to see, now you got from here to here, and you're going to tuck that underneath like a mountain fold. Like so. Okay, good. And just flatten. Once you have the fold started, all you gotta do is push it flat. Okay, so now when you lift up this, you see that there's a higher layer. Okay, so we're going to repeat that, turn the model over, repeat on the opposite side. Okay, so there you go. Okay, turn the model over again so the head is to the right. Now we're going to thin the legs with a mountain fold. You can sort of open this up and see inside here. We're talking about this layer. And we're just going to fold it like this. And as we do, the toes themselves swing out the opposite way, so they're now winding up forward. Okay, so we're going to do that and just flatten it back again on the folds that we had. Like so. Alright. See how that works? Good. Alright, now we're going to repeat that same maneuver on the other 3 toes. So here we go. Open it up far enough that the toes flip out and flatten it again. Right. fronts. I'll do the back ones. This one. Alrighty, very good. Okay, so continuing now, we're going to develop the tail next, and we begin by doing a reverse fold right about here at the back of the shell. Gotta be careful of any inner layers you might encounter here, not to wrinkle them, but it's pretty easy. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna turn that over and repeat on the opposite side as well, like so. Okay, then we're going to narrow the tail by folding a layer up inside and underneath. And this might go to the center line, or it might just go close, depending on exactly how you folded it, but that's fine either way. Okay, so fold those layers inside, flatten. Alright, and then we're going to just do a series of crimps to create an armadillo-like aspect to the tail. So in this case, I'm just going to do a couple, depending on the size of the model. You can do as many as you like. Okay. 2 will be good for this one here. Okay, there you go. Alright, now the head. So we have this long point sticking up, and we're going to reverse fold it forward. Just about as far as it would go from back in there. And the angle is not precise, that is to say it's to taste, but this edge here should be slightly above that point there. And then we're going to fold, just a simple mountain fold to create the front of the shell, and this fold serves a bunch of purposes actually, because it also helps define the flap that's going to become the ear. So you do that, and then turn the model over and repeat, and match them up. Good. Right. Okay, now we're going to do an outside reverse fold, so I'm going to pre-crease it so you can see the angle, basically, just like that, and then like I said, an outside reverse fold, so on the same creases we just made. There we go. And next, we're going to be pulling out a layer of paper from inside here. Actually, and flattening it again, so the paper that gets pulled out is this right in here, and when you pull it out first it wants to go back like so, and then you pull it forward again like that, and same with the other side. Okay, now we're going to crimp right about here. This separates the head from the ears. Okay, just a small angle, just about like that. And then lastly, we're going to fold this layer back down, and the same with the other side. Now, if you're really ambitious, you can flatten this flap in front and construct eyes, but that's not really part of the model as I've diagrammed it, so I'm going to leave that aside for now. So instead, what we're going to do next is puff up the shell to make it a little three-dimensional. So you can begin by just sort of folding it that way, putting a bend in right through here. And then what you want to do is actually make a crimp from the bottom right about up to that point, right up to this point here. And this will force the shell into becoming three-dimensional. So you make one crimp right up here at the start of this group of pleats, and another one in the back, at the back of that group of pleats. So two parallel ones, one up here and one up here. Now, if you're really ambitious and your paper is sufficiently large, you can in fact sort of unfold these pleats and redo it into the pleat itself, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is just hold these layers together with my fingers like this, and then fold enough paper up underneath to lock in place what we just did. Okay, and then you want to pump it up, puff it up. Okay, and then we're going to just make sure everything still keeps its shape. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Okay, so continuing, we've now created pleats on the shell on this side and on this side. And inside I've actually created a couple little, sort of formed the inside layer so that the whole thing is stable and that sort of thing. So now basically we're down to final sculpting. So of course we want to create the toes. So this is really easy. You just give it a pinch, something like that. And then spread the toes right out. There you go. Same with the other leg. First, fold it diagonally towards the back, and then fold the toes themselves forward, and spread them out. And the important thing here is just to keep the two legs even, so that it looks symmetrical. So those are your front legs. Okay, the back leg, same thing, except for now, fold diagonal up towards the back of the body, and then fold the toes forward. Spread them out. This is a mammal, so the toes all tend to point a little more directly forward than in, say, a reptile or an amphibian, where the front toes point inwards and the back toes point outwards. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so there are all our toes, and they should all... Now just kind of make sure if you accidentally wrinkle the shell, it would be a good time to straighten it out. Now you're going to want to curve the tail a little bit, especially right where it comes out from under the shell, just like that. This is a little tricky to do with foil, but it works great from regular paper, because paper itself likes to roll. So, in profile we want sort of a rounder tail rather than a flatter tail. Okay, that's good. And the shell itself, too, should have some roundness to it back there. If you find this point up here a little too pointy, you can always just bend that over and give it a bit of a sink. If you can manage a closed sink, that'll help lock it together, but if you can't, an open sink will at least give it some contour. There you go. Okay, the ears, you want to puff them up, so first fold it away from the body, and then just kind of reach in there and like that. We'll see with the other one. They're actually pretty easy to reach. Okay, and then, as I said before, if you just want to flatten the front of the head, you can reach back in there and sort of do that like that. Again, this doesn't have to really be flat. What you're really after is kind of popping it up to make it more 3D. There you go. Just have a nice armadillo-ishness to it. Alright, so there you go. There's your finished armadillo. Thank you very much.